One of the foundational forces that launched professional wrestling to a new level a generation ago, Hulk Hogan, died this morning of cardiac arrest. Hogan was born Terry Bollea in 1953. Blonde, bronzed, and built, Hulk Hogan was one of the most recognizable faces in the country back in the 1980s. You can argue whether pro wrestling is a sport or not, but there's no debate that Hogan was box office gold. Back in the day, why bother putting on WrestleMania if the Hulkster wasn't the main event? In later years, his star dimmed. Hogan reportedly used racial slurs, and WWE cut ties with him in 2015. Hulk Hogan was 71 years old. Let's go back through what made him such a draw and one of the legends of pro wrestling. Where better to start than WrestleMania 1? Hogan, headlining the card at MSG, teamed up with fellow 80s icon Mr. T to take on Rowdy Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful, with Muhammad Ali serving as the special guest referee. 2 years later, at WrestleMania 3, in front of over 90,000, Hogan defended his title against his former friend turned enemy, Andre the Giant. The body slam of the Giant, one of the iconic moments in wrestling. No mean feat to pick up a 500-pound man. Nearly a decade later, Hogan showed up at the WWF's biggest rival, World Championship Wrestling, Bash at the Beach. There, Hogan stunned audiences by turning heel and teaming up to form the NWO. But Hogan would return to WWF in 2002 under the moniker Hollywood Hogan and took on The Rock in the main attraction dubbed Icon versus Icon. The Rock would defeat Hogan in what was seen as the passing of the torch in pro wrestling. Saturday Night SmackDown lead commentator and ESPN announcer Joe Tessitore. Joe, good to have you here in the studio to talk about this. And you have a unique vantage point on all this because of your role both with WWE and mainstream sports. So if you're framing Hulk Hogan in the prism of both sports history and pop culture, how would you do it?
David, listen, he's a complex character, but I think it's very easy to answer that in simply saying he's the most influential pro wrestler of all time. But really, by the measure of promotional impact, if you just think of sports entertainment in terms of putting butts in the seats and getting eyeballs to the screen, he is as transformational as anybody in modern sports and entertainment history. He's arguably number one in a class of American sports stars of Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan. I'm not saying greatest at what he did. I'm saying promotionally, the impact that he made. It's those four guys for me in the modern era of sports in terms of strict transformational promotional power.
You know, you have to be of a certain vintage like myself. Maybe you're a little bit younger than me to remember what this guy was in the 1980s. I mean, he was huge. How did he cut through all that clutter and become this towering figure in the sport?
Well, listen, I think he captured the right time and was at the right place. And really, when you look at it, Hulk Hogan and what Hulkamania really was corralling the zeitgeist of the 1980s. It was really the moment where sports and entertainment all merged together. That on-ramp was the fast lane with Hulkamania. We didn't see anything before it, and we've seen a lot after it. Listen, the very network that we're talking on, the reason why we have jobs is because of the packaging of great storytelling and making icons and putting people over. So the way that we package and market everybody in modern sports today is basically the formula that Hulkamania was in the 1980s. Did you have the lunchbox? Did you have the action figure? Were you waking up on Saturday mornings and seeing him on cartoons on one network and then watching late night TV and seeing him on late night shows on another? It was beyond anything we have ever seen.
Yep. Yeah, so recognizable, the goatee, the 24-inch pythons. I'm not sure he owned a shirt for many years there.
If he did, he ripped it off.
He sure did. What was the difference, though, between Hulk Hogan, the character, and the person, Terry Bollea?
Yeah, I was with Terry back in January, as many of us who work at WWE were. It was our Netflix debut. It was a global event in LA. And yes, at that point of his career, Terry Bollea, and with some things that happened in the recent past, became a very politicized figure. But still, when he walked into the room, you knew it. The air changed. And I don't care who you were with. I can remember that night with Travis Scott and Logan Paul, and whether it's Randy Orton, John Cena, and all those guys. But you were very aware who was in the room. If you're simply saying Hulk Hogan and his presence, it was as big as it got.
You talked about the issues he had. He admitted he was racist to a point. WWE basically dropped him, washed their hands of the guy.
Yeah, absolutely they did.
What was that period like for Hulk Hogan after that?
Well, it was a complex period, but in recent years, obviously, he was embraced back with the company. He's a Hall of Famer, and really is a celebration of not denying that the impact that he made. You are talking about somebody, listen, you could even throw out numbers here, David, right? When he fought Andre the Giant, after the famous body slam in WrestleMania 3, 33 million people tuned in to watch it. You know what we call 33 million people tuning in to watch something in American TV right now? We call it the NFL playoffs. We call it the SEC times 2. So it was understandable the embrace you have to reflect on the impact that Hulk Hogan had, no matter the rocky roads like many sports superstars that Terry Bollea had.
Okay. Give me your favorite or your biggest Hulk Hogan moment, if you could, Joe.
Listen, obviously, everybody goes to the body slam of Andre the Giant at WrestleMania.
How did he pick him up, 500
How
pounds?
about that? Nobody ever did it, right? But he slammed Andre the Giant at the Silver Dome. But the moment that started it all for me was Hulkamania in January of 1984 at Madison Square Garden, defeating the Iron Sheik to start it. Then WrestleMania 1, which really, to me, and I brought this up earlier, it frames the 1980s as we know it. It was the cross-pollination of really American culture. From the past with you see Mr. T there, from the past with like Liberace and Muhammad Ali as the guest referee, to current pop superstars. This was really what I talk about, the merging of sports and entertainment that has never stopped. It's just been more fuel on that fire, but it all began at WrestleMania 1. But I gotta tell you, I'm very fond of the Rocky III cameo, aren't you? The ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball. But there were so many memorable moments. But for me, WrestleMania 1 captures it all. It ends up framing the 1980s as we would know them.
There you go. Joe Tessitore joining us here in studio to give us some insight and some thoughts on the passing of Hulk Hogan, who died this morning.
Yeah, before I fly off to SmackDown, where we will memorialize Hulk Hogan tomorrow night, Friday night.
Thank you, Joe.
The wrestling community and sports world taking to social media to mourn the loss of Hulk Hogan. Former WWE Chairman Vince McMahon also offering his thoughts on Hogan. The world lost a treasure today. Hulk Hogan was the greatest WWE superstar of all time, someone who was loved and admired around the world. He was the trailblazer, the first performer who transitioned from being a wrestling star into a global phenomenon. His grit and unbridled thirst for success were unparalleled and made him the consummate performer. He gave everything he had to the audience, whom he appreciated, respected, and loved. He leaves us with one of his favorite expressions he used to direct to the kids: train, take your vitamins, and say your prayers. Today, we pray for him. Hulk Hogan was 71 years old.